John Taylor, now in his 60s, is the owner of Taylor's BBQ House, a Texas-style barbecue joint famous throughout the small town. The smoky aroma from his pit has long been known as the morning smell of the whole neighborhood. The moment someone opens a window, they know Taylor is firing up the coals for another day of business. People often say, in this town, two things never get old: the smell of Taylor's BBQ and the gentle grace of Mrs. Linda. Linda Taylor, John's wife, is so well known that everyone calls her a saint at home. She not only manages the restaurant, but also takes care of every family meal and every shirt John wears. Friends like to joke, even if Mr. Taylor lost his way home, Mrs. Linda would still be standing at the door, dish towel in hand, smiling like sunshine, saying, "It's fine if you're late, as long as you're hungry." John's BBQ joint is always packed, and money has never been a problem. Every morning he wakes up earlier than the roosters, checks the smoker, adjusts the heat, and brushes sauce over every cut of meat. Once the work is done, he sits in a small office behind the restaurant, ledger in hand, counting every dollar of profit. He should feel proud. Years of hard work have finally paid off. But strangely, John feels bored. His life is like a rack of ribs left too long on the grill, still fragrant, still edible, but dry, lacking that burst of flavor. Each day feels like a carbon copy of the last. Open shop, serve customers, count money, close shop, dinner with Linda, in bed by 9. Steady, respectable, and utterly predictable. A strange itch begins to grow inside John, like a skilled chef wanting to sprinkle a new spice on a familiar dish. He tells himself, 60's still young enough to have some fun. Maybe I need a little turbulence to feel alive again. One morning, while sipping coffee at a roadside diner, a place he rarely visits, John happens to run into Duke Harris, an old high school buddy. Duke still has that slick tongue, always knowing how to start a conversation and turn any meeting into a comedy act. They shake hands and clap each other's backs, as if they'd just found a piece of their youth. "Johnny boy, long time no see. Still grilling away, huh?" Duke grins broadly, eyes darting around like he's already cooking up some mischief. John smiles back, but there's something forced in it. "Yeah, same old thing. Morning, noon, and night. It's all meat. I'll think about retiring when I get a break." Duke gives him a sharp look, then leans in and whispers as if revealing a state secret. "Don't you retire too early, John. A real man. Before hanging it up, he's got to pull off one big move, something to prove he's still got it." John chuckles, but inside, he feels a small spark flare to life. Duke's words are like a dash of cayenne pepper sprinkled onto an overfamiliar plate of BBQ. He doesn't realize this is just the overture to a play in which he'll be the lead actor, and the only one who doesn't know he's on stage. That night, after meeting Duke Harris, John Taylor comes home restless. Linda greets him with her warm smile and a dinner that smells divine, but Duke's words keep echoing in his head. A man's got to make one big play before he retires, just to know he's still got what it takes. It sounds ridiculous, yet it feels like a splinter lodged in his heart. John has no shortage of money, no shortage of reputation. But what he lacks is the thrill of risk, the very man spice Duke described, a taste only the daring ever try. 2 days later, Duke called. His voice was still gravelly, but full of excitement. "Johnny boy, you free tonight? I'm taking you to a great spot. Beautiful women, good drinks, good music. A man's got to get out and breathe some fresh air now and then, or he'll grow mold." John chuckled, trying to sound indifferent. "You know I'm tied up at the restaurant all the time, and Linda doesn't like me hanging around bars. Aw, come on, just one night. Tell her you're meeting a partner to discuss opening another branch. Linda's such a saint. The worst she'll ask is if you've eaten yet. Don't be such a chicken." A light jab, but it hit home. John agreed. He even justified it to himself. "It's just going out for a bit. Nothing serious. A 60-year-old man acting like a frail old geezer? Now that's embarrassing. The bar Duke took him to was in a quieter part of town but glowing with neon lights. Frosted glass doors, and inside, a blend of jazz and soft rock. Duke walked in like he owned the place, waved at the bartender, and chose a table tucked away in the corner. "Get ready, Johnny. Tonight you're going to meet someone interesting." Duke winked as he poured John a glass of amber whiskey. And then she appeared. Lily Monroe, about 25, with loose golden hair and blue eyes both clear and mysterious. She wore a red dress and walked toward their table with a smile so radiant it seemed the lights bowed to make room for her. Duke stood up to introduce them. "John Taylor, the BBQ king of this town. And this is Lily, the poorest college student I've ever met, but smart and absolutely adorable." Lily tilted her head and shook John's hand. Her hand was soft and slightly cool, the kind of cool that makes you want to hold on longer. "I've heard about you for ages. They say your barbecue is so good it makes people want to commit a crime just to eat for free." John burst out laughing, his face a little red. He was used to hearing compliments from customers, but somehow the words from this young woman made his heart beat faster. They sat down, Duke playing the jovial matchmaker while Lily skillfully steered the conversation. She said she was an art student, with a gravely ill father, an unemployed mother, and tuition bills piled high like mountains. Her eyes shimmered when she spoke of her troubles, her voice trembling just enough to stir anyone's sympathy. John listened, feeling something strange well up inside. Part pity, part desire to show off his generosity. He asked questions, and Lily shared a few funny stories about working multiple part-time jobs, even being stiffed by a cafe owner. Duke chimed in. "See that, Johnny boy? Plenty of folks out there need a helping hand. A real man steps up at the right moment. You're well off. Helping a pretty girl like this is nothing but chivalry, not a crime." John gave a weak laugh and took another sip of whiskey. Suddenly he felt as if he'd just discovered the missing spice to his bland bowl of BBQ. Lily didn't come on strong, just the occasional light touch on his hand, a bright smile whenever he told a story about the restaurant. She looked at him, not with the eyes of a customer, but with sweet admiration, something John hadn't felt in a long time. That night, when they left the bar, John already had Lily's phone number. She texted him as soon as he got home. "Thank you, Mr. John. I had such a wonderful time tonight. You really are a rare gentleman." John lay in bed while Linda slept soundly beside him. Staring at the ceiling, he felt his heart pounding. Just like the day he first got his driver's license at 18. It was a feeling he hadn't had in years. In the days that followed, Duke kept sending teasing messages. "Have you called Lily yet? Don't keep a good girl waiting." "Come on, man. When opportunity knocks, you answer. Otherwise, retirement's just sitting under a blanket counting money." At first, John brushed it off, but soon enough he started meeting Lily for coffee. She told him more about her hardships, this time about her father's hospital bills. John felt a pang in his heart, pulled out his wallet and handed her a few $100s to help out. Lily's eyes glistened with gratitude as she clutched his hand and thanked him, making John feel as though he'd just done something truly noble. One evening, Duke dragged John to another bar, and Lily was there too. She wore an off-shoulder blue dress, smiling radiantly. Duke shot John a sly grin. "See, Johnny boy, life's full of colors. Don't lock yourself up in that smokehouse." John laughed, but inside, another kind of fire began to burn. Not the fire of barbecue, but the fire of excitement, mixed with a hint of recklessness. He told himself, "I'm just helping a young girl, that's all. Nobody's going to find out. Linda trusts me completely." From then on, Lily skillfully began to test the waters, texting that she was out of money for tuition, that her car had broken down, that she needed to buy books, John obliged every time. Each time he handed her money, he felt both generous and young again. And Duke, always playing the cheerleader, kept egging him on. "That's it, man. What's the point of making money if you don't enjoy it a little? Linda's too good. She takes care of everything for you. But life isn't just barbecue and a sweet wife. Sometimes you gotta try a new spice." John listened, feeling lightheaded, as if he'd been drinking strong liquor. He began lying to Linda, saying he was meeting business partners, talking about opening another branch, when in fact he was meeting Lily. Linda just smiled gently. "You work so hard. Just remember to eat properly when you're out." Hearing that, John felt both touched and a fleeting pang of guilt. But the feeling of being looked at by Lily with sweet admiration, like a hero, overshadowed everything else. Another evening, just after John walked Lily out of a cafe, she feigned shyness. "Mr. John, I'm so afraid of troubling you, but if you can't help me, I might have to quit school." John nodded without thinking. "I'll take care of it. No problem at all." Duke, standing nearby, clapped John on the shoulder and laughed gleefully. "There you go. 60 years old and still saving the damsel in distress. See that backbone?" John laughed out loud, but his heart skipped a beat. He didn't realize he'd already stepped one foot into the whirlpool, with Duke giving him that gentle push from behind. Lily's story sounded convincing, but if one paid close attention, something was off. Every time they met, her situation grew more tragic, and the amount of money she needed kept increasing. But John was swept along like a chef obsessed with new spices, forgetting that adding too much seasoning can ruin the dish. Late at night, Linda was still at home, waiting for him with a warm supper. John looked at his wife, still gentle as ever, still asking if he'd eaten yet. But instead of feeling warmth, he felt like a schoolboy hiding a bad test paper in his backpack. That nervousness only made him want to keep playing this dangerous game. John didn't realize that every dollar he gave Lily wasn't just tuition for her, but also tuition for himself, a down payment for a costly lesson to come. And Duke, with his silver tongue, was playing the role of a loyal friend, while actually acting as a seasoned instigator, like a crooked chef slipping extra salt into the soup so the customers have to buy more drinks. As for Lily, that beautiful girl wasn't a poor student at all. She was a professional actress in a scam written by life itself and cast with gullible men like John. But John hadn't seen it yet. To him, Lily was still the spicy seasoning he'd been craving all along, the thing that suddenly made his life taste bold again. John Taylor entered his extramarital adventure like a man trying skiing for the first time. Nervous at first, then thrilled, then speeding downhill without realizing there might be a cliff at the bottom. After a few weeks, Lily Monroe was no stranger to John anymore. She texted constantly, sending innocently cute photos, morning coffee on campus, a worn-out sketchbook, even a picture of her father's bandaged hand on a hospital bed. Each photo was like a small thorn pricking John's heart. He felt like an aging knight who had found a helpless princess to protect. The first gift was a handbag. Lily never asked for it, at least not outright. She simply let slip that her old strap was about to tear. John noticed and immediately bought her a new one, 10 times the price. Lily's eyes welled up. "Mr. John, I don't even know what to say. I owe you so much." John felt as though he'd just done a noble deed. Duke Harris nudged him with his elbow. "That's it. That's how a man should be. What's money for if not to bring some joy? Don't be stingy, Johnny boy. Just think of it as buying yourself a little happiness." From the handbag, John upgraded to a few $1,000s still missing for tuition. Then came medicine for my father, followed by high-interest credit card debt. Every time Lily pretended to feel guilty, John felt even stronger and more capable. One Friday, Lily texted, "Mr. John, I wish I could go to the beach just once. My father says the sea makes people feel free." John read the message just as Linda brought him a cup of tea. His gentle wife still smiled brightly. "Do you have to work again this weekend? If you're too tired, just take a day off." John seized the opportunity. I have a partner in San Diego who wants to discuss opening a new branch. I'll make a trip to check it out." Linda didn't suspect a thing. She even packed snacks for her husband to take along. John kissed his wife, feeling a faint pang in his chest. But as soon as he remembered Lily's smile, he brushed it aside. The business trip was really a mini vacation with Lily. They stayed at a hotel by the beach, ate seafood, drank wine, and took sunset photos. Lily happened to let John pay for everything, and he found it perfectly reasonable. "I've got plenty of money. Helping a young girl have a beautiful memory. What's wrong with that?" Duke called while John was watching Lily run barefoot on the sand. "Johnny boy, see what I mean? Life's beautiful, isn't it? Don't tell me you're still feeling guilty. Your Linda is a real saint, but a man's got to reward himself sometimes." John laughed, the sound of waves drowning out the voice of his conscience. That night John ran into his old neighbor, Charlie Miller, sitting on the porch drinking beer. Charlie used to own a famous bakery, but now all he had was an old house. "Heard you're opening a new branch?" Charlie asked, his eyes curious yet worried. Still working out the numbers?" John replied casually. Charlie sighed, his voice hoarse. "Careful, Johnny, I lost everything once. Got mixed up with a young pretty thing. Sold my shop to keep her happy. My wife left, my kids won't talk to me. Now I sit here drinking cheap beer, and she's long gone like smoke." John forced a laugh. "You're overthinking. I'm different." Charlie shook his head. "I thought I was different too." But John paid no attention. In his mind, Lily was still a poor girl who needs help, and Linda was the ever-trusting wife. Everything seemed under control. The money John gave Lily kept growing. What began as small gifts turned into large sums, paying off bank loans, buying a used car to get to class more easily. Lily skillfully kept just enough distance, close enough for John to feel important, far enough to keep him constantly proving his worth with money. Duke Harris played the role of a shameless cheerleader. Whenever John hesitated, Duke would prod him. "Johnny boy, don't be stingy. You make money as easily as you grill ribs. Why count pennies with a pretty girl? Be a man. Real guts means living for yourself, not living scared of your wife." John listened, feeling as though someone had just injected him with adrenaline. Lily also knew how to stir the drama. Sometimes she wouldn't pick up the phone, then text, "I'm busy working extra shifts to handle things myself. I don't want to bother you." John would rush over with cash, feeling like a hero rescuing a princess. While John was busy with his fake branch expansion, Linda remained the perfect wife. She ran the barbecue restaurant, worried about every bill, and cooked dinner waiting for her husband late at night. Linda trusted John so completely that when friends teased, "Your husband's so busy you'd better watch out for another woman," she only smiled kindly. "Him? Having an affair? He barely leaves the smoker all day." That very trust made it even easier for John to push further. He grew comfortable with smooth lies, meeting new suppliers, checking locations in another state, negotiating with investors. Linda simply reminded him to take care of his health, while John felt both tender toward her and faintly bored. "My wife's too good, but she's missing drama." John didn't realize he was addicted to the feeling Lily gave him. Every text, every smile from her was like sprinkling hot chili on barbecue that had grown too familiar. He began living two lives. By day, the kind-hearted restaurant owner. By night, the dashing gentleman, supporting a mysterious beauty. Duke pushed it even further. "Why don't you give Lily a big sum so she won't have to struggle anymore? Think of it as investing in her future. Come on, man, you can't take money with you to the grave." John nodded along, not noticing how far he was drifting. He started dipping into his savings, even taking out small bank loans under the pretense of business expansion. Linda knew nothing, because she trusted her husband enough to hand him all the financial documents. One afternoon, John stopped at a liquor store to buy wine. The clerk mentioned another regular customer who'd gone bankrupt from keeping a mistress. John just laughed it off, never imagining he was the same. But that night, looking at Linda sleeping peacefully beside him, he felt a brief twinge of guilt. Just brief, because it vanished as soon as Lily sent a message. "I miss you. I wish we could go somewhere far away, just the two of us." John replied, "Let me arrange it. This time I'll tell Linda I'm going to Las Vegas to meet a supplier." He didn't know that every lie opened another door, and behind it was a waiting abyss. Linda Taylor was not a woman who got jealous easily. After more than 20 years living with John, she knew her husband like the back of her hand. Gentle, hard-working, never looking at anyone outside the family. But even the smallest change is enough to make a perceptive woman like Linda wary. One evening, when John came home late, Linda walked up to greet him and caught a faint, unfamiliar scent on his coat. It wasn't the familiar smoky smell of the restaurant, nor the car's air freshener. It was sweet, strong, distinctly feminine. Linda didn't ask immediately. She simply smiled, reached to hang his coat in the closet. But her gaze lingered for a moment. A few days later, Linda reviewed the credit card statements as she always did to manage expenses. She saw several unusual charges: a jewelry store in San Diego, a beachfront hotel, even large cash withdrawals. John had said he went to meet a business partner, but Linda knew any real partner would issue a clear invoice, never paid in cash. Linda wasn't the type of woman to make a scene. She believed anger only made men defensive, while silence lulled them into carelessness. Instead of crying or shouting, she quietly observed every small sign: late-night messages, phone calls. John took outside on the porch, neatly pressed new clothes he never explained. One morning, Linda happened to run into Duke Harris, John's closest friend, right outside the restaurant. Linda had never been fond of Duke because he joked too crudely, but today she invited him in to try the new smoked bacon. While chatting, Linda casually asked, "John's been busy lately, hasn't he? He says he's planning to open a branch in San Diego. Is that true, Duke?" Duke froze for half a second, then forced a laugh, raising his coffee cup. Yeah, that's right. That John, always on the run, busy as ever." Linda looked him straight in the eye and saw the strained smile. She didn't press, only smiled back. "That's good. I'm happy for him. I just hope you stay healthy enough to help John for a long time." The words were gentle but sharp as a thin blade. Duke left the shop feeling uneasy, while Linda marked another question in her mind. Linda knew she couldn't investigate everything alone. Fortunately, she had a close friend, Sarah Jenkins, the town's florist. Sarah was quick-witted, well-connected, and smooth-talking. When Linda confided in her, Sarah nodded. "Let me look into it. I doubt your John can keep this hidden for long." Sarah started digging. It didn't take long to hear about a young woman, Lily Monroe, often seen with John at a bar on the outskirts of town, a place Duke frequented. Sarah even asked a younger brother who worked security at a hotel to confirm John had booked a double room during his business trip to San Diego. Linda didn't cry or shout. She quietly wrote everything down in a small notebook. She stayed calm, so calm that even Sarah wondered, "Aren't you going to confront John? If it were me, I'd blow up already." Linda shook her head slightly. "What good would that do? When men are cornered, they only lie more. I want to know the truth, the whole truth, before I decide anything." In the evening, Linda still cooked dinner as usual. John still ate heartily, still praised his wife's cooking. After the meal, he excused himself to review financial reports in the study, when in fact he was texting Lily. Linda sat in the living room pretending to read, her eyes fixed on the thin strip of light shining under her husband's door. One night John came home later than usual, and on his coat was a single long strand of pale blonde hair. Linda plucked it off and slipped it into the small notebook as another piece of evidence. When the proof was enough, Linda began testing John's reaction. She mentioned a story about their friend Charlie Miller losing his shop because of an affair. "Do you remember Charlie? Such a pity. He lost everything over a young woman. I just hope you'd never do anything so foolish." John forced a laugh, avoiding her gaze. "Me? Foolish like that? You worry too much?" Linda only smiled, saying nothing more. She realized her husband had changed. He no longer dared look her straight in the eye. Meanwhile, Sarah continued tailing Lily Monroe. One night, Sarah saw Lily leaving the bar with Duke Harris, laughing together like conspirators. She quietly snapped a few photos and sent them to Linda. Together, they pieced it all together. Duke was the instigator and Lily the bait set on John. Linda remained calm. She said nothing to John, still cooked delicious meals, still waited at the door every night. Her silence made John even more complacent, thinking his wife suspected nothing. He drowned in his sweet-as-sugar affair, unaware Linda had already uncovered nearly everything. Outside, summer slowly waned, and the town bustled with end-of-season festivities. John's restaurant stayed crowded, laughter ringing through the streets. But in Linda's heart, a plan was quietly taking shape. A plan not only to expose the betrayal, but to save the family before it was too late. John had no idea that every small gesture, every strange expense, every lie was being carefully recorded by Linda, like a chef weighing each grain of salt. And just like a dish simmering long on the stove, Linda's patience was waiting to boil over, not with screams, but with a decisive blow that would leave everyone involved with no time to react. Under the warm yellow light of the Taylor kitchen, Linda set out a neat dinner table as always. Fragrant grilled beef, golden mashed potatoes, a colorful salad, a perfect American family dinner. But tonight was no ordinary dinner. Linda had invited a special guest, Lily Monroe, under the pretext of a family get-together. John looked slightly confused when his wife announced, "Darling, we have a guest tonight. A young woman named Lily says she knows you through Duke. I thought it'd be nice to invite her over for dinner just to make friends." At the mention of that name, John flinched but tried to hide it. "Ah, Lily? Sure, go ahead and invite her." He swallowed hard, silently cursing Duke for talking too much. The man must have slipped up to Linda. Lily arrived right on time. She wore a blazing red dress, carefully made up yet feigning innocence. When Linda opened the door, Lily smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling as if she'd never done a thing wrong. "Mrs. Taylor, I'm so honored to be invited," Lily exclaimed with well-rehearsed sweetness. John grew awkward seeing his wife and his mistress standing side by side. He was about to say something, but Linda spoke first. "Come in, Lily. I cooked plenty tonight. I hope you'll enjoy it." Duke Harris also appeared unexpectedly. Linda told John, "Duke called saying he wanted to drop by, and I thought, the more, the merrier." John began to sweat. Dinner with his wife, his mistress, and the man who egged him on, like walking a tightrope. All four sat around the table. Linda poured wine and chatted cheerfully, the perfect hostess showing not the slightest suspicion. Yet her eyes studied every move. Lily slightly avoided Linda's gaze. Duke's forehead gleamed with sweat. John kept his head down, forcing a smile as he ate. After dessert, Linda set down her wine glass and gently began, "Lily, I heard you're in college and taking care of sick parents. That must be hard on you, isn't it?" Lily launched straight into her act. Yes, I just hope to graduate soon so I can help my family. Fortunately, there have been such kind people helping me. She glanced at John meaningfully. Linda smiled, her voice light but icy. Yes, kind people. But perhaps you should also know I've met a few other men you've received help from, and they're not very happy about it. The dinner table froze. John turned to his wife in shock. Linda, what are you saying? Linda opened an envelope she had placed on the table and drew out a stack of photos and documents. Here's the evidence. Lily, you've taken money from at least 3 men in different states. One of them even had to sell his car to pay off debts because he believed your sick father, sick mother story. Lily's face went pale. She tried to force a smile. You're accusing me falsely? Linda didn't move, simply slid forward more photos of Lily walking into a bar with Duke, receiving an envelope of cash from another older man. This isn't false accusation either, Duke. Do you have anything to say? Duke stammered. I just introduced her. I didn't know anything. Linda fixed her eyes on him, her voice calm but stern. You set this up. I've asked around plenty. Don't think this small town doesn't know anything. You used John as bait for Lily to take money, didn't you? John was stunned, his face ashen as if blood had drained away. He turned to Duke, voice choked. Duke, is this true? You tricked me too? Sweating, Duke tried to deny it, but Lily, losing her temper, slammed her hand on the table. Yes, so what? All old men are the same, chasing fun, chasing young girls. I just took some money. I didn't kill anyone. Lily's true face showed completely. Sharp-tongued, eyes like blades. Nothing like the poor, innocent girl John had fallen for. You think I love you? Lily sneered. You're old enough to be my father. All you're good for is spending money. If it wasn't me, it'd be someone else fleecing you anyway. John sat frozen. Every word from Lily cut like a knife. Meanwhile, Linda's voice stayed calm, cold as steel. Thank you, Lily. You've woken my husband up. And thank you, Duke, for your little scheme. But I think this evening ends here. Linda rose to open the door, her eyes glacial. Duke scrambled to his feet, following Lily, stammering. John, listen, I can explain. Get out of my house! For the first time, Linda shouted, her voice cracking like a whip. Lily cursed under her breath, snatched her handbag, and strode quickly out. Duke slunk after her, completely out of smooth words. The door slammed shut. The house sank into heavy silence. John stood motionless, his hands trembling. Linda turned to her husband, her voice soft yet sharp as a blade. You're really good at cooking pho, John, but this time you almost cooked the whole family. John dropped to his knees on the floor, tears welling up. He had never seen Linda like this. It wasn't anger, it wasn't blind jealousy, but a deep, profound disappointment. And that frightened John more than any whipping ever could. He stammered, Linda, I'm sorry, I was so stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. Linda didn't answer. She simply cleared the table, each movement slow but firm. The scent of wine and grilled meat mixed with a dark, oppressive air. John collapsed into a chair, feeling the whole world crumble. He had almost lost his wife, his honor, and if Linda went public, he might even lose the restaurant he had built over a lifetime. Outside, Lily's car engine roared and vanished into the night. But her venomous words still echoed in John's ears like a curse, and Linda's strangely calm demeanor haunted him more than anything, as if she had prepared everything long ago, just waiting for tonight to bring down the curtain. What remained in the small house was a man bowed with remorse and a woman quietly gathering up the fragments of trust, not to throw them away, but to arrange them again in her own way. Linda had not yet decided what to do with this marriage, but one thing was certain. John Taylor would never again dare to underestimate the depth of the saint at home. That night, John Taylor hardly slept. He sat motionless on the sofa, a bottle of bourbon beside him that he didn't even touch. In his head, only Linda's cutting words kept echoing. "You're really good at barbecuing, but you just burned down the whole family." No shouting, no smashing things. Just one calm sentence was enough to make John feel how utterly foolish he had been. The next morning, Linda woke up early as usual. The smell of pancakes and bacon drifted through the kitchen, but the familiar warmth was gone. She set breakfast on the table and said softly, "Eat. I need to go check the restaurant." John watched his wife's figure as she left, and his heart ached. He almost wished Linda would yell at him, curse him, even throw a frying pan at his head. Anything would be better than this serene silence. In his panic, John drove to see Bill Sanders, the retired auto shop owner once famous for his wild lifestyle. Now Bill lived alone in a suburban house, with only an old dog for company. Bill opened the door, gave John a dry smile. "Oh, the BBQ king of the town. Don't tell me you got mixed up with some girl." John couldn't hide it. He told everything, how Duke Harris egged him on, how Lily Monroe faked being poor, and last night's confrontation. Bill just sighed, his voice rough. "Do you know why I live like a hermit now? Because I used to be like you. A good wife, good kids, a shop that made money. But I thought I was missing some manly spice. The result? I lost my wife, sold my shop to pay debts, and my kids stayed away. Now my back hurts, and there's no one even to pour me a glass of water." John sat in silence, as if seeing his own future. "If you could go back, what would you do differently?" John asked. "Go back?" Bill gave a bitter laugh. "I'd skip the bars, skip those red-lipped girls, go home to eat the meat my wife cooked, listen to the kids talk about school. But time doesn't go backward. You still have a wife, a home. Don't wait until you lose them to regret it." Those words struck John like the final hammer blow. Leaving Bill's house, he drew a deep breath, the smell of charred wood from a nearby BBQ joint reminding him of Linda, the woman still standing at the stove, quietly keeping the fire for their family while he had nearly snuffed it out. That afternoon, John came home to find Linda busy writing down the restaurant's accounts. He knelt right in front of her, voice trembling. "Linda, I was wrong. I was stupid. Blind. Please don't leave me." Linda put the ledger down and looked at him for a long time. Her eyes no longer held anger, only a deep sadness. "Do you know what hurt me the most, John? Not Lily, not the money, but that you disrespected my love and my trust." John bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. "I know, and I regret it. I swear I'll change." Linda stayed silent for a moment, then nodded. "I forgive you, but not unconditionally. From now on, you must. 1. Cut ties completely with Duke and Lily. 2. Make all restaurant finances transparent to me. 3. If you lie again even once, I'll personally shut down the BBQ shop and walk out of this house." John nodded repeatedly, his voice choked. "I promise, I swear." Linda stood up and gently helped her husband to his feet. "All right, go wash your face. We still have to serve customers tonight. Don't keep them waiting just because the owner's crying." In the days that followed, John changed completely. He worked harder, no more excuses to meet clients and disappear. He let Linda see all his phone calls and emails. When Duke Harris called several times, John hung up without a word. Most of all, John found ways to make it up to Linda. Not with expensive gifts, but with his presence. He prepared ribs with her, learned to mix the salad just right. In the mornings, he even learned to make cappuccino for his wife, though the milk foam always leaned like a mountain range. Linda only smiled gently, knowing he was truly trying. One night, after closing the restaurant, John hugged his wife and whispered, "I've never feared losing anything like I fear losing you. "Thank you for not leaving me," Linda replied, her tone lightly playful but edged with steel. "If you're foolish again, don't expect anyone to man the grill for you." Both of them laughed, but inside that laughter was a serious reminder. A family is no place to test a man's bravado. One Saturday afternoon, at the town's retired civil servants' coffee shop, John Taylor showed up in a checkered shirt with a beaming smile. He carried a plate of Texas-style smoked brisket, so fragrant that everyone stopped arguing over which team would win the championship just to look. "Advertising your BBQ joint again?" George chuckled, patting John on the shoulder. John sat down, arms crossed with a showy air. "No, today I'm not here to sell meat. I'm here to sell a hard-earned lesson." The whole table fell silent for a moment, then burst out laughing. "You? A lesson? We thought your life was nothing but charcoal and barbecue." John nodded, took a sip of coffee, his voice laced with self-mocking irony. "Yeah? I used to think my life was nothing but brisket and ribs, a capable wife, a busy restaurant, money enough to spend. But you know what? That very perfection made me stupid. I thought I needed some manly spice. And then I almost lost everything over a little flu." The table stared wide-eyed. John told the whole story from beginning to end, meeting smooth-talking Duke Harris, then Lily Monroe, the poor little girl who turned out to be sharper than any street hustler. He didn't dodge a thing, even mocking himself. "I smoked brisket just right, but my life, completely burnt to a crisp. I pulled out cash to buy Lily handbags, paid her debts, and told my wife I was meeting partners to open a new branch. In truth, I was opening a branch of my heart." The whole table roared with laughter. John laughed too, but there was a trace of bitterness in his eyes. "You know how it ended. Linda, my wife, didn't make a scene. She quietly gathered evidence, invited Lily to the house, and exposed everything right in front of me. And she said just one sentence: 'You're great at barbecuing, John, but you nearly burned down the whole family.'" The air went quiet for a few seconds. George cleared his throat. "You're lucky to be alive. If my wife found out, I'd be sleeping outside with the smoker?" John nodded vigorously. "Lucky indeed. If Linda hadn't given me a chance to fix things, I'd be sitting alone drinking bourbon like Bill Sanders by now. You all know Bill, lost his wife, lost his shop, all because of chasing red-lipped girls. I met him right after my wife confronted me. He told me if I could go back, I'd eat BBQ at home cooked by my wife instead of looking for flavor outside." After hearing that, I woke up fast. The story gradually turned into a kind of sermon, though with a humorous tone. John stood up, braced his hands on the table, and looked at each friend. "Listen to me, guys. Your wife is your safe home, the kitchen that keeps the fire burning. A mistress? Just a passing flu. Chasing that is like ditching a steady grill to go burn trash by the roadside." The men nodded, some clapping and laughing. "Good one, good one. John's reformed. Guess I'll clean up those shady messages too." But John wasn't finished. He kept cracking jokes while nailing down the lesson. "Don't underestimate gentle wives. They're like BBQ sauce, sweet on the outside but fiery underneath. Silence doesn't mean they don't know. Trust me, they know everything. They're just waiting for the right moment to flip the grill." The table erupted in laughter again, but everyone knew it wasn't just a joke. A few weeks later, the tale of the BBQ owner who came to his senses spread throughout town. Customers poured in, not only because John's barbecue was good, but because people were curious to see that strange couple. One weekend evening, Taylor's house BBQ was packed. John manned the smoker. Linda stood at the counter slicing brisket. Occasionally a customer teased, "Heard the owner almost burned his house down, huh?" John just grinned. "Yeah, lucky the boss lady put the fire out in time." Linda shot him a look, but a faint smile tugged at her lips. The couple worked together more smoothly than ever. The aroma of smoked meat, the laughter of customers, the warm yellow lights on the porch, it all felt cozy, as if life itself had been marinated again with just the right seasoning. Late at night after the shop closed, John laid a hand on his wife's shoulder. "Linda, thank you for not leaving me, and for letting me learn a lesson not everyone still gets a chance to learn." Linda replied with a line both gentle and razor-sharp. "If you mess up again, next time you'll be barbecuing alone." Both of them laughed. But beneath that laughter, John knew he had regained the most precious thing. Not just a busy BBQ shop, but a home, something no spice outside could ever replace.